The number of confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
Hundreds and hundreds of...
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Last of Us Survivor Difficulty video walkthrough. This is still in Pittsburgh. We're on the part 2 of Hotel Lobby. This is a pretty long level, and this is a creepy part of the game, guys, I think. I think this is probably the most frightening part for me, personally. And someone's undoubtedly commenting at this very moment saying, I didn't find it scary at all. I've seen episodes on the Disney Channel with more fear. Well, I'm sure you have, sir, but it's all in context, isn't it, brother? And what I mean by saying that I found this to be the most chilling part of the game was literally because my imagination was running wild. I have an overactive imagination, which sometimes can lead to me overthinking situations in games, and this was one of them. I was expecting a spawn. I could hear the music, I knew they were building tension, I knew exactly what they were doing, and they did a fantastic job of keeping me on edge. Like, you see the spores, you know that Joel's going to put his mask on, you know there's enemies. That tells you immediately that this section has enemies because something is generating the spores. And I was thinking to myself, you know what would be really good? If there was no enemies in this entire section at all. Because I've got to this point in the game where I assume when I put this mask on because of spores, there's going to be some enemies. There might be a lot of tension, there might be a lot of, mystery before it, but there's always an enemy. And this is the part of the game where I honestly could say, I think it would have been better if you didn't fight anything. Because I was on the edge for so long before the Stalker made itself known. And yeah, I got a cheap jump scare out of the Stalker, and I was like, oh, you bastard. Like, what is this thing? What's it doing? And it was kind of creepy. But it wasn't as creepy as this part, where I knew I was going to be attacked. These rooms were far too big, but I just had no idea from where or from what. And I think this is one of the moments that would have benefited from no enemies. Because it is literally the bomb under the table not going off. And I think that that is awesome, but... game design is a fickle thing at this moment in time, especially when we live in an industry that is ruined, or ruled, is probably a better way of saying it, by these AAA first-person shooters that do nothing but blow everything up every 10 seconds, so that there's absolutely no notion of downtime, or no appreciation for the highs, because there's no lows giving them contrast. But, listen to this, there's so much ambient noise, there's so many little hints and tips that something is about to happen. It is fucking creepy. But what you're supposed to be doing here, guys, is you go to an office, and I know what office to go to, I just don't want to trigger this fight because I was kind of nervous. You pick up a keycard. When you pick up a keycard and you turn around, there's going to be an enemy there. And he's going to stand in the doorway, and then he's going to run away from you, and he's going to make an awful noise, like a kind of noise, like a throaty, guttural thing. And I didn't know how this enemy worked on my first playthrough. I could hear them, and I assumed I'd not killed them all. So I thought there was something that kind of pursued you through the level. And it turns out there's just a handful of them that you can kill, and once you kill them all, the game kind of stops again. It mellows out, it unaggroes, and then you can go do the energy thing and continue. But this is where we need to go. That's the room you need to run to once you've turned on the generator, once you've picked up the keycard. And all I'm doing is I'm mapping out my path, I'm mapping out my route right now. Because this was a moment of the guide I was not looking forward to. This is the only moment, in fact. And it's so cheeky. See it? Like, he didn't even scream on this playthrough, but on my first playthrough, that guy screamed at me. So now we've aggroed them. This is a new enemy. This is a Stalker. It's essentially a runner that doesn't run at you until it's provoked in a certain way. And it doesn't make any sense. They're kind of mischievous. They're kind of... They play a little bit like children, like it's hide and seek. Hide and seek, but the end goal is murder. And you only come across this enemy twice, so I haven't really discovered if there's a way to trigger them, except for moving forward, using yourself as bait, and then punishing them. Like, they seem to have this thing where they will run at you when you don't look at them, which obviously sounds quite intelligent. But it's almost a case of if you look to another direction intentionally to lure them out, when you look back, they should be running at you. I experimented with using my torch, you know, flicking my torch on and off to see if I could get them to jump, to bite, as if it was some kind of motion. And I'm doing a stupid hand gesture here that nobody can see, as that bitch punches me and puts me to exceptionally low life. But I think... yeah, that's all of them dead. So however many I just killed is all of the Stalkers in this first sequence. Then what happens here is you turn on this machine and it spawns a whole new bunch of enemies. But the enemies on this next section are randomized. And on my recording run I died about 4 times because every single time I got near the door I got killed by a clicker. And on this run through there was no clicker by that door. So I don't know how it works, I don't know what the population is like if there are a handful of set spawns, but in my experience, there was a clicker on this corner here to my right who didn't show up, there's one on here to my left that didn't show up, and there was a floater in here, a big bloater guy. And I even got to the door, pressed Y to use the keycard. Joel tried the door first and I got killed by a floater, which I'm going to call the wrong name for the entire time because I think floater's a better name than bloater. And you might ask why, because it's slang for a body that's been in water for too long and is swollen, and I just think that's cooler than bloater. But at the same time, it does have that fucking that childhood association with shit, which I can understand. They probably want to shy away from. But now you've done that, you've essentially done what I believe to be the most intimidating section of the game as far as atmosphere. And now we can move back through this area where we're going to be, you know, going up against hunters again very shortly and get back to Ellie. But I had a lovely morning. Ooh, let's have a look here. Healing speed, crafting speed. Yeah, I've only just noticed that the upgrade path does not have listening mode upgrades on it. Because obviously listening mode doesn't upgrade. It doesn't exist on this mode. Sorry, it does upgrade on the old modes, but it's not on Survivor. Which, if anybody wants to be that guy, and I always get that guy who wants to say this is not the difficulty I say it's on, dude, look at those upgrade paths, you know. It is missing a vital upgrade that is available on every difficulty but this one. So, yeah, you've been told. Stop wasting your own time. You're just an angry young man. But I had a very strange morning this morning. Woke up about 9 AM, sweating my balls off because my room gets really warm. And why did I wake up, you ask? Well, not because I had a good reason to get up, or that's my usual cycle of getting up. I had toothache. I was woken up by pain. And toothache is one of those, it's like a headache toothache. And sometimes it can feel very similar. And it's one of those things where, unless you've ever had it, you don't really understand it, and you don't really get why everybody makes it out to be the end of the world. They make it out to be a gunshot wound or to lose a limb, you know, like a third world problem. And you think, it can't be that bad. What are all these people talking about? And it turns out, guys, it is that bad. It really is. Like, it's one of those pains that you can completely ignore, but you can only ignore it when you distract yourself. And as soon as you remember that you can't feel it anymore, you start feeling it again. It's just like a headache. And the luxury is I took 2 paracetamols and I went back to bed. So I did manage to not have to suffer through it. But I was playing Colonial Marines yesterday and I had toothache then as well. And you might be thinking, well, dude, what's wrong with your teeth? And I've got a wisdom tooth coming through. And a wisdom tooth is not what you expect it to be. It gives you no knowledge whatsoever. It does nothing but fuck up the geometry of your mouth. Like, we have no space at the back of our mouths for functioning teeth, you know. They're just troll teeth at that point, and there's no need for them. They should not be there. Yet, when we lose an important tooth, like an incisor or a front one, you don't grow them bastards back. You just get these joke, like novelty teeth at the back of your mouth that you can't even use. That all they do is like cramp your jaw, give you pain when they're coming out, and then become a bastard to clean. And if you don't clean them correctly, they will rot in your mouth and need to be removed. So, why do we grow these things again? Like, did we used to be saber-toothed tigers and our jaws moved? Like, I don't get it. It is such a stupid design flaw, God. I'm looking at you, God. You know, you designed so many cool things, like honey badgers and sexual acts that are illegal in certain states, and yet, boom, wisdom teeth that give no wisdom. You know? That's like a bouncy ball that doesn't bounce. It's fucking false advertising, and I want a damn receipt. But this room here, once you've killed those 2 guys that you just saw me take out, there are 2 of them, and they cover themselves quite well. On my hard playthrough, I was able to choke out the one dude without the other dude seeing me. On this playthrough, the other guy sees me. Not that it matters too much, because you can then go into a fist fight with him, but in the interest of doing it clean, I would definitely say try and distract one of them when he's quite far away from the other guy. Isolate him, take him down. If you've got a shiv, you can probably avoid being spotted. The only reason I got saw or seen, I'm not even too sure about that. I got spotted. Just say spotted. I'm not going to go into fucking the tenses or the grammatical differences in vision words. It's because of that. It's because this animation takes so long. He shoots me, puts me on my ass. I have no life now. I go for a quick shot and just fail. He panics because he knows I've got a gun. Then I put the bottle on, because bottles are great for people with weapons. Stun them with a bottle, finish them off. Then I'm trying to eke him out right now. I'm trying to make him commit. And to do that, I throw the bottle. He looks over there. And then I kill him. It's a brutal world, guys. It has to be done. That guy's face is significantly tougher than the infected, because you'll notice when you do that to the infected, there's a high probability that you're going to split the top of their skull, which is extremely brutal and very, very fun to do. But what happens here is you're going to be moving towards this mantle spot, and you're going to get jacked by a guy. It's going to go into a cutscene, and Ellie's going to save you. So pick up the ladder, prop it up, and just take comfort that there's nothing you could have done to avoid this next situation. It is completely scripted, and I personally think that it could have been better, but that's just from a design perspective. Like, why is there not more bubbles? The bubbles should have been affecting the camera, because if you can barely see and the camera is all intense, it makes it look intense. Like, it looks super tame because we're far away from the action. We're not close enough to it. Like, that shot there is perfect because it's showing you he's reaching for the gun. But in a situation that is like this, it needs to be closer. It needs to be extreme close-ups, or it needs to be a lot of effects on the camera, making it more intense than it actually is. Because when it's at that kind of mid-shot, and there's bubbles near them, but there's no bubbles near us, we feel that we're not in the action. We're disenfranchised at that point. We're distanced from the good stuff. Although, you know, fighting and survival is not necessarily the good stuff. It's kind of terrifying. But yeah, just a couple of things I would have pushed for if I was the creative director. But yeah, another interesting thing that happened to me this morning, I was posting my Love Film discs, and as I was walking up the street to the post box, I saw a bee. And you're probably thinking, whoa, you saw a bee, oh my god, they're so rare. Well, no, they're not rare at all, but it was walking. Motherfucker was walking, man. Like, why do bees walk? And the only thing I could think of is it was tired or disorientated or maybe dying. But I nearly stepped on it. And I didn't want to step on it because I quite like bees. The vagabonds of the animal kingdom with their lovely yellow and black sweaters. You know, the kind of like more trendy criminals from the 50s. But it was just walking towards a road, no doubt, which is not very smart. And I just kind of passed it thinking, what are you doing, man? You got them wings, you got all that talent, you've got that useless stinger that's essentially a death sentence. Do something else, bro. You've got your pollen, you've done enough. Make the queen fetch her own shit, lazy cow. And then when I was walking back after posting, I didn't see it, so hopefully he went off to greener pastures to go and do something fun, or he got run over by a car, or someone stepped on him. And I'm assuming it's a he. I'm not entirely sure about the gender of bees. For all I know, they could all have, every tackle available to them and be... Is it hermaphrodites when they dangle both ways? Which I don't think it's technically dangling both ways. It's an innie and an outie. Try and keep this PG-13. A tuppence and a tail. But there is a firefly pendant. This is me going to be looting some various areas, and we're going to be moving away from this hotel, thank God. But I do like this environment. I do like most of the environments in this game. I was listening to a podcast last night. I'm getting a little bit divergent because right now there's nothing really needed to be said. There's an upgrade for melee weapons, which is great. All you need to do in this room is push the piano, and then you can move on to the next mission. Effectively. That's kind of what we're doing here. But the podcast was Painkiller already, which is one I've watched for a long time. Because I used to be a lot more into Call of Duty than I am now, which is a shame, but you know, what can you do? And they had a guy on called Boogie who seemed like a pretty cool guest. He seemed like a smart guy. He had some really great things to say. And like myself, he had a passion for hyperbolic rants, and I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. And I have been known to do very similar rants to him when I'm drunk, which is hilarious. But they were talking about BioShock Infinite, and he went on to say that BioShock Infinite's environments were kind of like copy-pasted and reused and repetitive, and I'm sorry, but that just ain't fucking true. Like, Kyle said it was one of the best looking games he's ever seen, and I hope he means on PC, because on console it looked a bit shit. But that's just because it was all downgraded, because, you know, it was higher resolution textures that had been low resed, just for the sake of the machine's, you know, capabilities not being as high. And I'd agree with him. I think BioShock Infinite looks amazing on a high-end PC. It's perhaps not the best game I've ever seen, because I've seen some pretty fucking amazing looking PC stuff, but it still looks amazing, and I've just never seen anybody say that they thought BioShock's environments and stuff were repetitive. Because Columbia is a theme. Columbia is, you know, I loved it. I'm so biased. It's amazing. I'm I'm ruined. But thanks for watching, and you take care now.